You're listening to another episode of Do What You Love and Love What You Do. Today's guest is Lamont Taylor out of North Carolina, the CEO and founder of Get Me Recruited, a recruiting service for athletes to help them reach their collegiate goals. Sit back, take notes, and learn about how to build a national brand in whatever business endeavors that you have. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Do What You Love and Love What You Do. And we are in some very precarious times and we don't really know what's going on. So my job is just to share information with you guys, stay connected with you guys, and let you guys know what I have going on. And for me, it's just a planning process and building those relationships and maybe creating new relationships. And so my guest on the show is Brother Lamont Taylor out of North Carolina, and he's going to introduce himself. But just to tell you a little bit about our relationship, I met Lamont probably about 7 to 8 years ago when I was in North Carolina. A couple of his events and a couple of coaches that were affiliated with him would come back, shake hands, and fist bumps, but nothing official. And so I've been watching Lamont and knowing about his company for a long time now, and just watching them grow and do things across the nation. And we end up reconnecting through his co-founder, his vice president, who actually is out here with me in Richmond, Virginia. And so our paths crossed again, and now here we are again. And I asked him to come on the show because he's built a national brand. He's a entrepreneur who's had success, and I just wanted to I wanted him to help us. I wanted him to help us, and we kind of just pick his brain on some questions. So Lamont, the floor is yours. Give us a short intro. Who is Lamont Taylor? Where are you from? What's your background? And all that other good stuff.
Yeah, I'm just a regular guy, man. I'm Lamont Taylor, the owner and president of Get Me Recruited. I born in Brooklyn, New York, raised in a little town, Lumberton, North Carolina. So really, I'm a country guy, deep down inside, and have seen a lot, done a lot, and been able to use my experiences, I think, to help build the brand, man. And I'm just thankful to be here.
Cool. So Lamont, real quick, tell us what is Get Me Recruited. We know, I know what it is. For our listeners and our viewers, what is Get Me Recruited? Just give us a synopsis before we dive into just building a brand.
Right. So Get Me Recruited, hence the name, is a scouting circle. When we originally thought about the plan and how it came about was Robert Scruggs, we call him Trey, that you linked up with there in Richmond, our VP. He and I linked up on a trip to Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. The Richmond Squires had asked me, Lamont, we need you to coach for us, man. And I was retired, man. I was laid back, just chilling, going to the gym and watching Judge Judy all day. And my man called me and said, man, I need you to go coach for me down in Little Rock, Battle at the Rock. And so me and Trey got to talking on that ride about, the recruiting process and how it can be. We had kids that we knew could play, but, wasn't getting the exposure they needed. And myself, having gone through that with my nephew, a tough recruiting process with him, I wanted to give parents the knowledge that I didn't have when I was bringing him through. So in the very beginning, we were actually a recruiting service. And what I mean about that is the difference between a recruiting service and a scouting service is a recruiting service, the parents and kids pay you to put themselves out there, to do their reaching out to colleges and building their platform. We used to have profiles on our website. Well, I learned real quickly that I didn't want to charge a lot of money, and a lot of people I dealt with was a lot of money, but they expected a lot for a little bit of money. And I learned real quick, I'm not going to make much impact this way. And in fact, I'm going to go backwards. So along this journey, I've had to learn, you can't let your heart get in the way of surviving the business. And so we kind of, Get Me Recruited looks nothing like when it started. So what we had to do was, we turned into a scouting service, which in the beginning is so funny because I was dead set against it. And there were other things like doing girls basketball. I was dead set against it. But along this journey, you have to have some ability, some open-mindedness, be able to adjust to be able to grow. You can't be stubborn. You can't be fixed in on this the way I want it to be, and this is what it's going to be, because you limit yourself. Luckily, being quote unquote the old guy, I had younger guys like Trey and Coach Pop that would tell me, "Hey, Lamont, this is the young wave, or this is maybe we should look at this." And so eventually we became a scouting service where now, colleges pay us instead of the kids pay us. So that's the difference. We look at doing exposure and those type of things.
Man, so that's awesome. And I know the competition is tough, especially with parents, wanting their kids to get scholarships in elementary school. And
Oh man.
so,
Oh man.
so,
Oh man.
so,
Oh, you just let me tell you, man. I gotta tell you this, man. I think I was in Ohio, because I travel a lot with basketball, right? So a lot of parents or coaches, they'll confront me and ask me some things if they see me on social media. So this one dude, he came up to me, man. I was in Cleveland. He come up to me, was like, "Yo, man, you gonna want to know my son, man." Yeah, I was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Yeah, man, there's no question. He's the best in his class, man. I'm telling you, man, everybody up here know him. He tight, he this." I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay. I'm listening, right? Because, I hear a lot, but I listen."
right.
And he said, "Man, I'm telling you, he's the best 10-year-old. And I just stopped. Did he just say 10-year-old? Nah, cuz we're not doing that, man. We're not doing that, man. But that's, again, in the beginning, I didn't want to do young kids. I went down more toward young kids, just kind of feeding the market of what was wanted. But at the same time, you can't allow people to pull you into a area is not good for your brain.
Yeah, man. And real quick, a funny story just happened to me recently. That one of my kids posted, just got an offer from such and such.
Right.
Blessed to receive an offer. I'm like, man, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, man, the coach ain't called me.
Right.
So man, so it's just the school that offered them was, first of all, it wasn't an offer. I mean, you got to pay to go there. No dorms, no meal plan. Um, Basically, you're paying them for them to try to get you somewhere else.
Right. But you brought up a great point though, man. In this social media age, people are more in love with the attention than they are the process.
Right.
So me and Pop just had this conversation the other day about people, that they're trying to commit in ninth grade, not necessarily because they love the school or love the coach or that's where they want to be. They can't wait to get on social media and say, first of all, I like to thank God and the coaches that, like, they're literally looking for that moment
That's
instead
it.
of, you get me. You get what I'm saying.
Hey, it was so funny though, man. Cause my coach called me. My head coach called me. Say, "Yo, Crane, did you know such and such?" I said, "Man, it was basically a school like DeVry University or something." I'm
Right,
like,
right, right,
"Man."
right,
So,
right.
but anyway, coach. So listen, back to our entrepreneurs, man. So, it's different kind. I mean, you can be an entrepreneur in anything, really. But I really brought
Right.
you on the show about building a brand. I mean, you had a long conversation about protect the
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah.
What does protect the brand mean?
So your brand is the lifeline, right? Um, no matter what your product is or your service is, reputation is what matters. You can have, let's say, a great product that you sell, but if you have a reputation of, overcharging or not giving refunds or whatever it is, those can hurt your brand. So when I say protect the brand, if it's not a positive to the brand, if it's not something that you can look at and say, okay, it can't be looked at negatively, because at the end of the day, we all know, as they say, word of mouth, and even more so with social media, you can be involved with things that can really hurt your brand and not really understand the impact it has because it might not be immediate, right? So some things are tangible, but there are the intangibles you got to account for as well. And I tell my guys, there's certain things we may do that, you may not see the effect right now, but you have to think term of what that could mean. You know what I mean? So big on protect the brand, man. Before I take a deal with anybody, the first thing I got to look at is their brand. Because if they're not taking care of your brand, they're not going to take care of, if they're not taking care of their own brand, they're not going to take care of yours. And
Right.
so, you know what I mean? So those things you really got to take into account.
So yeah, so give us a story, man. Like I know some people just try to jump on a bandwagon. I know you've seen guys come and go. What is the most craziest offer or scenario you've had in your dealings?
And I've had a lot of crazy offers, man. And, just, I would say in a nut, they will try to get you to do things that have absolutely no value to you whatsoever. And just to keep it here is you have to really understand. You have to really understand that um, people are opportunists, right? People are opportunists, and there's nothing wrong with that because everyone wants an opportunity, right? But the opportunity can't be at the expense of what you're working on, your brand. If it's not mutually beneficial, then you have to skip over it. I've had people offer to do literally, and I'm not kidding you, literally do like kindergarten camps. And I have no problem with nobody and their kindergarten kids, but bruh, I mean, now we doing too much. I was like, nah, man, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do the kindergarten, man. Come
I
on.
want to play on 8 foot goals, coach.
Nah, I can't do that, man. If we got to lower the goals, I went too far. I went too far. Too
All right,
far.
hey, so listen, so yeah, right now y'all are becoming or getting recruited is a national brand. Um, when did that take an effect as you and Trey and Coach Pop, when did y'all realize, hey, this we could take this thing to 50 plus states. This thing can be huge. How did y'all plan? Um, how did that happen for someone like me, Dream Chaser Academy? How do I take that to somebody in California?
Right. I'll tell you, man. When you say when did we realize, always to this day have those moments when you almost don't believe that you are where you are, like that people look at you the way they look at you, because, and me and Trey talked about this, I think because we're so focused on going to the next level that we don't stop sometimes to actually realize where we are at the moment. Give you an example, man. I always talk about this. This was one of those moments, and my daughters, when we out on the road or we're somewhere and people will stop me all the time. Hey, aren't you Lamont Taylor? Get me recruited. We hear that all the time. So they always tease me and say, Daddy's a public figure, or are you
Yeah.
famous? Just stuff like that. But I'm gonna tell you a moment with me that just was I keep pointing back to this moment because it was a moment for me to realize, oh wow, we're really moving. And I was coming from Birmingham back home and stopped in Atlanta. I hit pop up and said, hey, find me some local tournaments going on, and I'm gonna just stop in Atlanta on my way. Junkie of the gym is me. So if I'm going through a city, I might see if there's a tournament going on. And I think one thing that we've been about is it doesn't matter whether you see us at Hoop Hall or the City of Palms. The next week you might see us at a dirty old gym in Duluth, Georgia. You know what I
Right.
mean? We never feel like we're too big to be anywhere. You know what I mean? So everybody gets the same amount of love. And as I was coming through Atlanta, I went to some, small tournament in Atlanta, and I just popped in the gym. Didn't tell nobody I was coming, and went in and just started watching a little basketball. And this little white woman came up to me, and she said, "Excuse me." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, I don't mean to be weird or anything. She said, "But my daughter and her teammates are over there," and she pointed across the gym, and it was a group of white girls sitting there on this, and she says, "They are so excited you walked in the gym." She said, "They are talking about, oh, that's him, that's him." And it was a moment for me of, wow, like I'm in a small little tournament in the middle of Atlanta, don't know nobody here, but these know me and are excited I walked in the gym. And I just couldn't fathom that because to me, I'm still just me doing what I do. So it was at that
Yeah.
moment that I knew, okay, we're growing to a level of bigger than us. And we've always planned for that. But I got to be honest with you, although I say, well, I want us to be this, this, and this, I'm not sure. I can't say, and just being totally honest, whether I really believed it would ever really happen. Like, to the level it's happening. Because you never, it's not like hitting the lottery. One day you're here and one day you're there. It's a gradual process that it's not a pinpoint time that you could say we became this. It's a gradual process. And if you continue growing and continue staying focused, you won't even notice you're getting to that level. It'll just gradually happen. It's kind of like, old age. You feel young one day, and then one day you're sitting around with the young cats, and they, man, I am the old guy. When did that happen? I mean,
Man. Hey,
and you
coach.
notice
Man,
you
coach.
swear,
Man, I feel, man, my hairline go. I be coaching, man. Yo, coach, I've been coaching literally since I decided to not play college basketball when I went to Hampton University, and I had to stay around the game, so I was coaching anything from semi-pro women to helping out the girls at Hampton University to every rec league possible. Um, when I was 18, 19 years old, going to Wichita, taking a group of kids, man, to Wichita University. I've never been to Wichita University.
right, right,
And we drove to Texas, we loaded them up. And I really, to this day, I can't believe some parents entrusted me, a
right,
19-year-old boy. It was me
yeah,
and my cousin. And we had my, rest in peace, my Uncle Charles. We had our old jerseys, TCU Slammers. I mean, these jerseys hung off of us and everything. We found them, put them on those kids. We went up there, man. It was crazy to just play on the college court, coach on the college court at 19 years old, and coaches looking at us on the sideline like, man, I can't believe I'm losing to some kids, literally kids coaching kids.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I
No,
would,
but
like
those
you
those
say,
make the story.
yeah. I mean, I was about to say, man, that's when you look back. You just brought
Yeah,
back memory lane, man. We used to do all that stuff, man, and just to see where I'm at now and where my network is at now, it's just been a blessing, and I enjoy the ride. But get back to again, we just continue to build a brand. You have Get Me Recruited. I have Strive for Perfection Athletics. I have Dream Chaser Academy. That's why we're on the show. I've done consulting for other brands and small businesses. But you also are working on another project. And talk about a little
yeah.
bit about that.
Well, so I went back to school at 35. Got my associate's degree and my bachelor's degree in psychology, and so psychology. Before I went and got my master's, but psychology has always been my base. And originally, when I went back to school, it was because my wife and I had the plan of both becoming marriage and family therapists and opening up a family business, right? Um, so what happened was when I started getting recruited during this, during my college years, and decided I wanted to get my business degree. And so I would understand. And so these, guys and my peers and constituents wouldn't think that I'm just some slick dude that knew everybody and built a business, that I actually had the framework and I wanted to be comfortable with the business aspect, right? Well, fast forward, me and my wife actually got our masters at the same time, crossed the stage the same day,
Okay,
and
okay,
yeah, and she went on and she's now a marriage and family therapist. She has her own practice here in Raleigh.
okay,
Well, so recently in January, I went and got my life coach certification, and
okay,
and now we own our own office suite here in Raleigh, and I have an office in the suite. So we have the family business of mental health. So she has the marriage and family therapy, and I have changing the game. Changing the game for me was throughout this process of growing, get me recruited, and the different experiences I've had. One of the things I've noticed is we take for granted the student athlete and the mental side. We take for granted, the things they have to go through mentally. Being a kid is already tough if you don't do nothing else but go to school, right? You got peer pressure, you got, homework, you got, parent relationships. Well, then when you add in a student athlete, now they have practice. They got relationships with their teammates. They got relationship with their coaches. They got, the stress of performing well. They have the stress of, playing time and just so many factors, wanting to play college. So changing the game for me was who's uplifting and talking to these families and student athletes about how to get life back on track,
yeah,
how to deal with the anxiety of being a, um, a student athlete or a family member of a student athlete. Being a parent of a student athlete is stressful as well. You're talking about financial. You talk you may spend more time with one child than you do the other. There's so many dynamics behind the student athlete and the mental side. And so changing the game for me was about addressing the um, anxiety, the depression, the unmotivated person that needs an extra voice behind them, telling them, "Hey, it's going to be okay. You can do better." Sometimes, and you know this probably as much as I do, kids have a tendency to listen to someone they respect outside of the home more than they
right,
do their actual parents. I tell people all the time, I got thousands of people that look up to me, but in my household, I don't know nothing. I'm telling you
right.
that I don't know nothing. You know what I mean? So
You pay the bills and everything, and
I,
don't know
I,
nothing.
I don't know nothing. So the point I want to make behind that is sometimes a person like me who's already had, almost 30 years basketball and sports experience. I had a scholarship in football, blah, blah, blah. So I've got that experience. I've got the background, and I got the psychology information and the life coach information to be able to help parents and kids make it through life, be successful. Whether it be now success, we got to understand is measured differently for everybody. So
Right.
what I may consider successful may not be successful to you. So you may be the manager at McDonald's. Well, that's success depending on who's gauging it. You know what I mean? So some people, the success may be to own a chain of McDonald's, not just be the manager. So we have to be careful in putting the pressure on kids of being successful in just basketball, or success is only measured if they make it to the NBA. Getting a college scholarship is a success in itself. So we have to look at those different things. And, at my new organization, I built this entity so people can have that outlet. And this changing the game, lifecoach.com. I'm really excited about it, man. People are starting to hit me up. And I also do motivational speaking and consulting also through this. And that ties in to get me recruited because I deal with so many people in the business that have no one like changing the game to help them.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you said, man. Like all your businesses are tied together, and that's what I try to stick to with Dream Tracer Academy and Strive for Perfection is be able to, be able to speak not only to the parents, be able to motivate kids, and just use different platforms, right?
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, protecting a brand, we are the brand. Whether
Yeah.
whether we change the name or what,
Yeah.
we are the brand. If
Absolutely.
you really look at different businesses, it's really the same person. They say, okay, all right, this is getting watered down. We're just gonna throw something out there with a new name, use the
Right.
same business model, and now it's really the same person owning those businesses. And that I think that's a good point. I love what you and your wife are doing, and I can't wait to get down to the office, man, and share the stage with you, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome because, ironically, I don't really I don't really speak a lot of personal, but me and my wife goes. But that was actually she's studying right now to get one of her tests, be a licensed professional counselor for
Mm-hmm.
LPC, and
Yeah.
one of her goals she just mentioned was to be a marriage therapist, a family therapist, and
Mm.
I tell her I could sit back, just give me an office.
Right. Right.
I'll make copies for you, whatever you want me
Right.
to do,
Right. Right.
whatever you want me to do. But let's get it done because she's also in the mental health field. And
Mm.
actually, before this show, our last show, Coach, we had Daniel Brooks on the show, who just turned
Okay.
in his 2 weeks notice, and he had a mental health expo planned out there in Roanoke, Virginia, and it was geared toward what you just talked about. He had all these
Mm-hmm.
vendors playing. He's a brand new entrepreneur, and his first big event shut down because of the Rona,
Yeah.
because of Corona.
Right. Right.
So we
Right.
talked about that. We talked about that in going through the planning process. He had a lot of sponsors, people planting seeds. I even, my company even planted a seed to him. So he had a lot of traction, the meetings. He had it at the Virginia Science Museum, putting money up for that. And then
Yeah.
everything gets shut down on his first event.
Man.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so,
That's tough.
yeah. Yeah, have you ever had to shut down an event or refund somebody or refund a total event, a collapse?
No, I've been lucky enough that I've never had to cancel. Now, of course, I've had to refund individuals sometimes. To be honest with you, side note, all right, I don't use PayPal anymore. I'm gonna tell you why I don't use PayPal. Right, I found out real easy. It's easy to get your money back from PayPal. And how I found out is, so we had this camp, and this parent, her son came to the camp. He loved the camp. He got a video and write up, and everything was great. But
Yeah.
about 2 weeks after the camp, I get a PayPal notification, they file their money back. It's like, hold on, wait a minute, how they get they ate the food, they played in the games, and PayPal said, well, they went through their credit card. She did this 2 events in a row. And I told PayPal, I said, now they can't eat the steak and then not pay the bill, right?
Right.
So I told PayPal, I'm done with that. But what I want to bring up real quick when you were talking a minute ago, this popped in my mind when we were talking about the brand, right? So along the way, a guy named Gilbert Abraham, you know Gilbert, right?
Right.
When I first started this business, you mentioned we are the brand. My eyes weren't open to that in the beginning. So I was still posting on Facebook what I really feel, right? So we have to understand and certain things you got to keep to yourself, right? Because you're not, when you're talking on social media, you're not just talking to your friends, you're talking to the world and
potential clients,
your absolute clients. So I had somebody say, well, I'm gonna keep it real, man. I'm gonna talk. You can do that, but at a price, right? Because you have to respect whether you like somebody that likes Donald Trump or not. That's not your business. Your business depends on them as a client. So their personal feelings has nothing to do with your business. And you have to separate the two, depending on your goals. Now, if you just know, I don't want anybody that like Donald Trump money, that's great, but you're going to limit yourself to a whole bunch of people not going there. So Gilbert came to me one time and he said, well, Lamont, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. And if you know Gilbert, he's soft-spoken. He said, I don't want you to take it the wrong way, but maybe you should look at not saying certain things that you feel on social media. And I was that guy. I was like, nah, man, if they don't like it, this is always me being reactive. But when I'm alone, I kind of think to myself, right? So he said it again. He said, well, Lamont, this is what he says. He said, this is what I want you to understand. And this one of those moments that stood out to me. He said, Lamont, you have to realize this. We don't have any other African Americans in your position trying to do what you're doing in this industry. So if you look at it, you're our Barack Obama. You're our hope, our change. And that moment changed me because it forced me to understand I have a lot of people that actually look up to me to do the right thing and to be the example. And so that's where I understood I had to separate what I feel and what I say. You know what I mean? So now if you look at my social media, I may say something funny, or I may, it's all posting about business, maybe some family, but I definitely stay away from politics, religion, those things.
You have to. One of my mentors told me that a while back, posted about your post. It's really your social blueprint. It's your resume for people. I know we all got separate pages and they got our personal pages, but the first thing they're going to do, click on the company page, click on the owner, and scroll down. And
go look at that.
Absolutely. Coach Crane posted, And so for me, like you said, for me, I just set goals, man, to be the best father, best husband, best coach. Everything is about being the best. And I was telling my father, I don't want, like LeBron James, I don't want any holes in my game. I don't want anybody to be able to say, man, look what Coach Crane posted.
That's right.
He's talking bad about his head coach.
That's right.
So everything is about uplifting one another, even if there's in our business, in the recruiting business and the tournament business, there's a competition, but don't make the competition bad where you putting the competition down or you saying bad things about them, right? It's more of, hey, let's see, let's uplift each other. Let's collaborate, right? Let's
Yeah.
collaborate. And you continue to do things the right way, and I believe just things will fall into place. Such as they've been doing. But hey, Lamont, real quick, I gotta ask you before we go. Do you believe that entrepreneurship these day and times? Do you believe that everybody should be an entrepreneur or everybody should own a business? Can anybody do it? Can anybody learn, or is it something like a hustler mentality is born in you? Like, for example, we're talking about sports, so people that are just naturally gifted,
Right.
naturally come out 6'8", 220, 40-inch vertical, 4'4". I mean, is that natural for us on the business side? Is Are people just born natural leaders and business people and born entrepreneurs?
So with that's a question that I've had many debates about. So one thing I feel is everybody has something special. They're here for a reason, right? Um, let's say you look at a kid on the corner that looks like you may have dropped out of school, not doing anything, but he could be a very gifted rapper, or he could be a very gifted artist. Those type of things. So everyone to me has some type of gift, right? Now, when it comes to the business, you can be taught the principles of business, being professional, um, spreadsheets, social media. You be taught how the business should be ran, and and all of the you know intangibles of learning the business itself, the business principles, the business models, and so forth. You can learn that, and you have a gift. Now, the difference is between successful entrepreneurs and those that who are just employees is not everyone has inside of them that desire to maximize their gift or their wants or their need for success. Because I call it the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. I've always said this um, for myself. How I treat my business is every event we have, everything we show people has to be the best. And I got this from Michael Jordan. He said, when I went to this old Chicago stadium, I went so hard every night because I knew there was somebody in this stadium that is seeing Michael Jordan for the first time, right?
Mm.
So being that he gave his best, some of us, and I include myself because this is who I am. You hear the old adage, failure is not an option. Well, to some people, it's just a phrase they use that looks good on social media. To me, it's truly not an option. And if you look at people and when I say that, let me explain that. You're going to have many failures along the way, a lot of disappointments. Failure is not an option, is not the end of the road. You're going to have many failures on the way. So failure is not an option, is not letting the failures you're going to have get in the way of you being successful at the end. So for me, I think everyone has the opportunity, but they may not have the innate desire to be the best. And that takes something special because you really have to work harder than the person next to you. You talk when you look at LeBron and Kobe and even the guys that even make it to the NBA, the work they had to put in to get there is so much more than their teammates along the way put in.
Mm.
So to be a successful entrepreneur, everybody wants to be the boss until it's time to do boss things, right? So if you're not the one that's willing to wake up, if you're not the one that's willing to stay up late, If you're not willing to do that almighty word that I always say, sacrifice, because the one thing you're going to have to do more than anything else, you can learn all the business you want, you can have all the mentors you want, but if you're not willing to sacrifice, I mean, real people say they are, but you got to understand what that means. That means sacrificing time with the family. That means sacrificing money. That means sacrificing when you're feeling tired and don't want to do anything. You got to do it anyway,
You gotta
right?
do it anyway.
You got to do it anyway. You know, and everybody doesn't have that, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what really separates the winners and the losers,
Yeah,
right? I don't think there's no in between.
yeah,
You think about, you either win or you lose.
yeah.
And I just want to surround myself around winners like you, Coach. I appreciate you being on the show.
I'm
Uh,
glad to be
you
here,
know,
man.
yeah, man, I'm just excited, man, about just watching both of your brands now change the game and get me recruited. Looking back on this show, and this be a flashback show,
Yeah,
and
man.
now we doing the show sitting on a yacht or something like that.
Right, right.
Doing a podcast, or doing a seminar for young entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Just real excited about what's about to happen. Can you give us your contact information, all the websites, Instagram, all that good stuff? And I'm also going to post it below this video as well.
Okay, well, Get Me Recruited. All of it is at Get Me Recruited. Our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Even though I'm not on Snapchat, I let my niece do that. That Snapchat. Now they're doing TikTok. I can't keep up with it, but you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Get Me Recruited. Changing the life of the game, lifecoach.com. Also, Changing the Game is on Instagram and Facebook as well. Or you could Google my name, Lamont Taylor, and I'll come up as well. And we look forward to it, man. I'm excited about it. GetMeRecruited.com, Changing the Game, LifeCoach.com. I'm so excited about 2020. Despite the corona, man, I'm excited about it because it's all in your outlook. Now, you can be upset about this outbreak and let it discourage you. Well, me, myself, look at it opportunity to get my stuff in order. So
Right,
when it's over, you know what I mean? You never take breaks. If you're I can't say everyone is built like that.
right,
However,
right,
if you're really, if you're, this is my philosophy, and my guys will tell you this, and maybe it's not for everybody, but I look at it like this. If I'm home, if I take 30 minutes to do something that I wasn't going to do, had no plans of doing, but if I take that 30 minutes and I move toward my goal, that's 30 minutes less it will take me to get where I want to be.
right.
So you get me? So the more time you put in, time it take you to get where you want to be.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And I think you hit it right there. You gotta sacrifice, man. I remember when I was writing my first book. Um, my son was born. I would set my alarm clock from like 3 a.m. to write, from
Yeah,
3 a.m. to
yeah,
4, then go back to sleep. Or when I was, and I would do stretching, prayer, motivation, and get my mind right and write and write. And it produced a book. And so those are the things that we have to do to our listeners and our viewers. Just stay connected with us. Do what you love what you do. We love you guys. We out.